celebrate the joy of Canada, to remember its sorrows, and to anticipate a secure, proud, and successful future. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. Protégera nos foyers et nos droits. Nous sommes très fiers d'être Canadiens et Canadiennes. Let us wish our Canada security, health, wealth, and respect for all. God keep our land glorious and free. Ladies, gentlemen, fellow Canadians, classmates, let's join together in a toast to celebrate Canada. To Canada.
Canada. To Canada.
To Canada.
Merci beaucoup, Shyam. Prochainement, on va porter un toast aux forces armées canadiennes et nos vétérans. Et je veux demander de Dave Jerkowski de diriger ce toast. Dave?
Yes, thank you very much. Chris, can you hear me okay?
Yep. Oui.
Let me start by wishing you former gentlemen cadets of RMC, CMR, and RNR, Royal Roads, a happy, prosperous, and swiftly inoculated 2021. We'll raise a glass with or without an active ingredient shortly. But first, I just want to tell you a little bit about top of mind at this moment for me, and that is that the Canadian forces have been in various forms for many years, for over a century. And we've experienced a lot of losses, a lot of successes, starting in 1902. And I'm not going to go through an entire history, but 1902, the Boer War, where we lost 224 Canadian infantry in the 2nd Special Service Battalion, Royal Canadian Regiment. A lot in First World War, Second World War, Korean War. I think we were okay in the 2 Gulf Wars, 159 in Afghanistan, 130 in peace enforcement operations. Little known, 926 from all aircrew communities during the Cold War, a period of about 43 years for Canada, most in training, combat readiness training, and operations. And they gave a lot. They gave their lives. We cannot forget our veterans from those operations, many of whom who still suffer from physical and mental scars across Canada. I don't have the exact numbers right now, but can tell you that our deployed forces are numerous and very active at the moment. In the order of more than 1,000 CAF members, probably close to 2,000, and operating on some 20 missions or so. We enjoyed a long period of relative peace, but as the respected Canadian historian Margaret Macmillan says in her most recent book, it's foolish to forget about ensuring we have a strong military. And yes, we had a lot of fun along the way. It was a great run ashore during our service, but all of us here accepted that contract of unlimited liability, sometimes at great risk, in serving Canada's #1 of 4 prioritized national interests, the defense and security of Canadians. The members of today's CAF subscribe to that and all our commitments. And I can tell you today that the CAF is focused intently on global uncertainties and significant emerging threats. At the same time, the release of tens of billions of earmarked procurement spend for critical military resources is more than a year and a half behind. And Canada's foreign affairs strategic policies and planning for where Canada needs to position itself are lagging seriously. This to say, we hope Canada stays safe, and we hope our Canadian Armed Forces are well equipped and capable of dealing with the real world coming fast upon us. So with great challenges in mind and the great innovative work and success of the Canadian Armed Forces that they do on a daily basis, I ask you to raise a cup of kindness to our veterans and the members of the Canadian Armed Forces, past, present, and future. And we thank them and their families for their principles, tenacity, skills, and personal sacrifices to protect Canada and our beliefs in the past and through emerging threat environments. to the Canadian Armed Forces and our veterans.
To the Canadian Armed Forces and our veterans.
Thank you very much, Dave Jerkowski, for that important toast to that institution that we all served, some a long while, some a short while, but we all part of it at one point or another in our careers. So thanks again. We now come to a more solemn part of our program this afternoon, evening, and that is the toast to our fallen classmates, of which we have far too many, in my opinion. We have 3 members of our class who are going to read in turn the names of our fallen classmates. And these 3 individuals are Bear Brown, who will read the names of those who are RMC all the way. Baz Wheeler from Collège Militaire Royal, he will read the names of those who started at CMR, and Rick Bowers, those who started their military college time at Royal Roads Military College. So I would ask John, if you would.
There's the
okay.
list.
And yeah, there's the list. And so Bear Brown, I believe you are first. So over to you, sir.
Yeah, it falls to me to read the first name. But before I do that, I'd like to also make you aware of another naval tradition called the Toast of the Day, which were meant to be given at sea, but over years have sort of migrated into any event where we remember people or where we think about things that are important to us and people that are important to us. Now, the Toast of the Day for Friday really wouldn't fit this session today, so I want you to pretend with me that this is Sunday and join me in a toast on Sunday to our absent friends.
Absent friends.
Absent friends.
Friends. Bless them.
And let me begin. 8384, Bill Bentley. 8391, Larry Cade. 8020, Terry Cave.
It's Baz. Been looking at this list, brings back a lot of memories, and it can get a little emotional, so I'll do the best I can. So the first one on the list from CMR is one of my best friends, Dave Cogden. Also from CMR, Norm Dore, and one who was a roommate of mine for a brief time, Mario Gentilezzi.
Rick Bowers here. I'd like to continue with some of the rodents. 8511, Wally Halchuk.
And another CMR guy, John Hall, and also Rob Hall.
8516, Bill Harrod.
And by the way, gentlemen, I didn't get the list of college numbers, so JLGP Jobin and Charles Mo Kraus.
8536, Joe Lang. 8542, Pete Ludorf. 8544, John McDonald.
8438, Gary Manchester. 8439, Sonny Marsh.
And someone we'll never forget, Horny Lorne McCartney.
8057, Ross McKenzie. And our honorary grad, the Mage, Major Danny McLeod.
8556, Gary Mueller.
from CMR, starting class, Keith Murray.
8562 Pat Patterson.
And another one from CMR, Bob Ross.
8462 Robin Ross.
8357. Sorry, Baz, that was for you.
Yes, so Jay Verlinden. And next, Jean Villecourt.
8473 Alan Walker.
8601 Jim Webster. And 8603 Eric Wittes.
And we also missed one that wasn't on the original list from CMR. A little story about Rick Ward. Rick started a year ahead of us, but realized we had a much better class, and so held himself back and joined us in his junior year at CMR. Unfortunately, Rick was involved in a scuba diving accident in the pool at CMR and passed away as a result. And in our 5-year reunions, pretty much every year when we go through this list, Rick's name is always left off the list for some reason. And one of my friends, Dave Cogden, every year raises the issue that why isn't Rick's name on the list? So Dave has left us as well, but I wanted to say to him, this year we got Rick on the list.
Thank you then, Baz and Rick and Bear for taking us through this far too long and unfortunately growing list of colleagues and friends that have gone on beyond. On va prendre collectivement maintenant juste une minute de silence pour souvenir les mémoires de nos amis et nos collègues.
Ceux qui sont partis.
Okay, thank you one and all for that commemoration of our good friends.
Hey, Chris, if I may interject.
Yes. Yes, Doug.
Just so you know, what we've done at Royal Roads is at our annual reunion that we have had in the past. Every year we dedicate bricks at the mast for all of the fallen members.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Doug. Doug, there is one other person who's passed away who was an honorary member. I think we bestowed that status on him of our RMC class of 68, and that's Padre Don Hatfield. Do you want to say a word about Don, Doug?
Yeah, actually, it's Don was a honorary member of the class of 72. They beat us to the draw.
Yeah.
So what we did is his wife Sylvia was quite involved and has been over her entire life with the military activities based around Royal Roads. And we got her to be an honorary member of our class way back. I think it was in 90 or something like that. And the outshot of that was that, and Don Hadfield had quite a sense of humor. He became beholding to his wife as his senior, and that kind of worked for the rest of their lives. Unfortunately, Don passed away in July this year by his own choice, and he is now in a better place. And Sylvia is the strong woman that she is carrying on magnificently.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate that. Well, let us return to, if I may say respectfully, the land of the living. And next on our agenda is Toast to Families. And I'd ask Dave Gregory to lead this part. Over to you, Dave.
Yes, it is a very difficult stage to follow, but I will try to follow on with the support to our families. Bonjour et bienvenue à tous à cet rassemblement cordial. I hope that everyone is looking forward to a good year in 2021. J'aimerais lever notre verre à tous les membres de la famille, ceux qui sont encore avec nous, ceux qui sont déjà partis avant nous, et spécialement ceux qui nous a supportés il y a 55 ans et jusqu'à maintenant. Their support and the support of our family members today, be they spouses, children, or great-grandchildren, was what got us through the hard times at college, in the service, and through many absences to the point we find ourselves today. We truly owe them a lot of gratitude. Nous les devons un bon lot de merci. Aux membres de nos familles, to the members of our family, we salute you.
To our families.
Salute.
To our families. Was Carol in the background saying, I'm here?
Louise is just beside me, Chris.
You can say hello if you want. Best wishes from Carol. Okay.
Nice, Johnny.
Okay, the next piece on our agenda is a toast to the class of 1970. And the member of our class who's about to give this toast is well known to all of you, Johnny John Hills, because over the last months, he has done a great job in putting the class list in good working order and has organized before Christmas, I think 3 regional reunions and now this New Year's Day levee. If I didn't know any better, I would swear that John is gunning for class secretary. And just so you all know, nominations are open for the secretary. Have been open nominations for 20 years, or is it 25 years? I can't remember. And will remain open till one of you gets elected. Or somebody issues a contract on my life and I'm gone. Right.
We could do John right now.
Yeah, that's right. We could. John, over to you.
Thank you, Chris. Hey, everybody. Happy New Year. I'm not gonna keep this on for the whole time, but I thought, make it light, move into it. That's what I need. So fantastic fun to get you guys all together here and see your old faces and renew these old friendships. Old we may be, but not so these get-togethers. Shit sessions with classmates never get old. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thanks to you.
Take it off.
Cheers, John.
Cheers.
Class secretary could declare a quorum.
I'm, by Constitution, I wrote the Constitution, a quorum is one.
You got to be careful, Chris. I might mute you in a second. A necessary notice here. When it comes to these kind of events, I'm notoriously prone to having overactive tear ducts. So consider yourself warned. I'm also this is going to tell a bit of a personal story, but I'm going to forgive myself for that because I have a suspicion that some of you may well relate to what I'm going to say, and indeed it might even be your story also. But I seized the advantage that I crafted for myself and volunteered to take this position to toast the class of 70 because I want to. It means a lot to me. See, here comes the tears. It's an opportunity at this inaugural class of 70 New Year's Levee. Did you hear that? Inaugural. Let's do this again. That I didn't want to let pass. And though this toast to the class of 70 fits well within this New Year's program, it could just as easily be given at Thanksgiving, because that is what I intend. I want to give thanks. Have you guys ever taken the time to reflect on your life decisions and how they set the course of your life's path? I suspect that, like myself, most of you have. And when you look back, some of those decisions were always going to be monumental. You knew they were important when they were presented to you. You treated them as such, and indeed they had important consequences. But others may have seemed less significant at the time, perhaps even of little consequence. Nevertheless, with the decision made, your life's path took a sharp turn. And of all of those important decisions made, if you look back, there's likely one that stands out above all the others, that was the most important of your life. The choice that you made, and more than any other, shaped the life that you've led. And whenever I reflect on this, I think of my mom and dad. They were clear and never hesitant to tell of their most important life decision. It was, they told me, and so many others, over and over, their decision to emigrate from the UK with their 5-year-old son in woolly shorts and knee-high socks and Clark sandals on an adventure to the Canadian colonies in search of a better life. I can hear them saying, as they did so many times, I can't imagine what our life would have been had I not made that choice. And that's the nature of that most consequential of life's decisions. It's the one that shapes everything. So much so that without it, life would be unimaginable. I've no doubt what that choice was for me. The funny thing is that I don't actually recall the decision itself, neither being presented with it nor making it. Apparently, and I have no reason to doubt this, I arrived home from school one afternoon with the announcement, in high school this is, with the announcement that I had met an RMC cadet at career day, and that I thought it a good idea to apply for entry to Royal Roads. And somewhere in there, that good idea morphed into my actually submitting my application, and there was my life's path in front of me. No, I can't imagine what my life would have been had I remained in Calgary. Different education, or maybe no education at all. I learned afterwards that the freshman class at the University of Calgary in 1966 were infected with an epidemic of ridge playing, and an extraordinary number of them failed as a consequence. That probably would have been me. I would have been in a different locale, snowy Calgary winters instead of Lotus Land here in Victoria. And I would have had a different life partner other than my wonderful Marcia. Now that's unimaginable. But the most important consequence of all, and the one for which I will forever give thanks, is my introduction to all of you, my best friends forever, the class of 70. Together we've shared laughter, so much laughter. You introduced me to Marcia. You've counseled me. You've carried me when I needed it. We've adventured together, created together, grown older together, and we've cried together. You're my family. You're my brothers, with whom this only child is honored and blessed to have shared his life. Thanks for being there always. And so I toast you all. I toast the class of 70.
Class of 70.
Class of 70.
Class of 70.
70.
Well said, Johnny John. That's profound.
Very well done, Jenny.
It's our sentiments too.
Yep.
He struck a chord with us all.
Bravo Zulu.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
You're more than
Thanks, John.
welcome all.
Good one, John.
Anybody else want to say something to John or all of us? Okay, John, thanks. Sincere and heartfelt, and you touched me, my friend.
Thank you, John.
Well, the next section on our program is subtitled Entertainment. So let's see what we got. First, reflections on the past year and opportunities for the new year. Please welcome Richie Clark. Over to you, Richie.
Well, I got to say, that's a tough act to follow. But when I was getting this toast ready, I thought as well about shared experiences, because shared experiences is what shapes us. It's what shapes our relationships. It creates bonds and understanding between people, and we're here because of our shared experience.
Yep.
And it's what has shaped us so that we still like to get together 50 years after the fact and talk to each other, even over a freaking Zoom meeting. So those shared experiences obviously have some force. But I didn't share most of the experiences that you guys had. I went straight to law school, as you know. So I didn't get to share the stuff that you guys were doing. I never got drunk in Randy Palmer's apartment in Brandon. I never took a train ride with Russ Crum where he threatened to beat the crap out of the conductor. I never ran into Claude Node hitchhiking in Germany. I've never even been to Cold Lake. So there's a lot of experiences that you guys have had that I didn't have, and one of them is a levee. And in fact, I've never been to a levee in my life. So I don't know whether what I'm about to say is the thing that I'm supposed to talk about or whether it's not. But at the end of the day, I don't really care, because it's really nice to talk to you guys. And the other thing is, as you know, I am a professional talker. I get paid to talk. Some guy comes into my office and says, "Hey, I want you to go talk for me." And I say, "Okay, give me some money." And he says, "Okay, here's some money." And I say, "Okay, what do you want me to talk about?" And then I go talk about it, and I get to keep the money. So it's got to be the greatest job in the world. But I'm not getting paid to talk today, so I'm sure you'll be happy to hear that I'm going to try and keep this short. Now, Johnny John told me that what I had to talk about was the past year and the coming year. And the past year, it seems to me, is pretty easy to talk about. It sucked. And in fact, I read an article in the newspaper, I don't know, a little while ago, that said, well, this past year wasn't in fact the worst year ever. The worst year ever was probably something like 1346 or something, when they had the Black Plague. And that seems pretty obvious, but just to have the year mentioned in that article is a bit of an honor, I think, in terms of the past year. But John said that I should avoid the obvious and look at different other things that happened over the past year. And if you do that, it still sucked. You know, to start with, I'm sure we were all happy to see hockey come back, and especially when it comes back in playoff hockey. But a team from Florida won the Stanley Cup, which is a huge insult to those of you who live or from Toronto, home of the proud 1967 Stanley Cup champion Maple Leafs. In the past year, Quebec had Hurricane Isaias, which is a hard name to say in either French or English. Alberta watched a steep decline in oil prices that ruined its economy and was bad for half the population of Newfoundland as well. Manitoba had floods, the Maritimes had floods. There were wildfires all over the West. And in BC, we got invaded by something called murder hornets, which aren't like killer whales who only kill other sea animals. Murder hornets can actually kill people. So it's been kind of a bad year all around, which brings me back to shared experiences, because although I, for one, got tired of hearing people say we're all in this together, we all have kind of shared the experiences of going through this pandemic. We've all got to wear masks, which personally I haven't done since I hung up my chaps and cap guns. We got to communicate with people through plexiglass, like some bad prison movie. We learned to wash our hands like doctors on TV. We got used to Zoom meetings where most of the time you spend your time figuring out who can hear who, and you say stuff like, "You're muted, Cliff." We learned a whole new vocabulary. We talked about positivity rate. We talked about flattening the curve. We talked about social distancing. And we got a whole new meaning to the word bubble. And all of those are things that we had in common, and they are shared experiences. And we're gonna do that going into next year too, because we're going to share the experiences of coming out of this, hopefully. And those are going to be awesome, because those are going to be like doing things for the first time, because it's been so long since you did them. And it's going to feel like you're doing them for the first time. And it's going to be great. And we're all going to share in that excitement of coming out of this doom and gloom. You know, for example, we're going to get to hug our kids for the first time. We're going to get to hug each other if we bump into each other on the street. Personally, I'm going to get to hold my grandson for the first time. We're going to get to go to a pub for a beer with a buddy for the first time. You can go out for a romantic dinner for two for the first time and see what develops after, probably for the first time in a long time. We can go to concerts, we can go to plays, we can go to movies, and it'll all be like we're going for the first time. So that's the contrast between last year and this year. And what I can say is may the door really hit 2020 in the ass really fucking hard on the way out. And let's welcome 2021. And here's to you guys and all our shared experiences. I love you all.
Hey,
Hey, Richie, here's to you.
Hey, Richie.
Thanks, Richie.
You hit the nail on the head. Perfect. Love it. Now, you did mention that usually you get paid. You know, somebody comes into your office, asks you to speak, hands you money, and away you go. And you have done this without any hope of repayment. And that's just as well, Richie, because there's hardly any fucking money left in the bank account.
And this is a cheap class as well.
A very cheap class. And all we can offer is to pay your expenses from coming, let's say, from your bedroom upstairs, downstairs to do this. So whatever expenses you incurred in that trip, send me the invoice. Not a problem. Anyway, that was right on. Yeah, love it. Love it. Okay, so still in the entertainment section, we have a poet in our midst, believe it or not. Shall we call him the class of 70 poet laureate? The Squires, over to you.
Okay, well, I hope I'm technologically challenged, so I hope everybody can hear me okay. And I've turned my computer off just because it seems to work better with just my phone. So am I coming through all right?
Yeah,
sure are.
Perfect.
Okay, good. Here we go. This is supposed to be just entitled Class of 70, a poem. We left our homes when we were young to go to can milk call. Families, neighbors, dogs and cats, even sweethearts, we left them all. We left the cities, the towns, the farms, we left them all behind to join the world of doubling hard where seniors were not kind. Now, many were good at all cadet things, drill, academics, and sports. Others had harder rows to hoe, circles and charges and drill squads, you know, while the sweat poured off in quarts. Just a few short years of laughter and tears, then we received commissions and degrees, and off we went to an army tent, or to tend an airplane if that was your bent, or to sail the 7 seas. And some achieved the highest of ranks. Others did very well without rising so far. Some thrived in academics, politics, business. Each of us followed his particular star. Still, we kept in touch as time did pass, reunions, phone calls, pictures of kin, and 50 years went flying by as the leaves fly with the wind. We raised our children and made our way, and now the grandkids squeal. When we look into their laughing eyes, we know that heaven is completely real. Some of our class have been lost to us. Some have gone to their last reward, but they will stay in our memories clear till all of us cross that final ford. And this past year, the COVID fear has stalked across the land and kept us from our loved ones dear. Sometimes it's hard to understand. But let us welcome a new year in and meet it face to face. As good and bad times come and go, we deal with each with constant grace. So class of 70, hear this call. As time its message sends, just 3 things matter after all: family, love, and friends. Here endeth the lesson.
Well done.
Go, Chrissy.
Cliff.
Hey, Cliff, right on. Wow.
I guess we
Sounded
could have
great.
a toast to
Was that
poetry.
iambic pentameter?
Not very much, no, just a touch of it.
We need a copy of that, please.
Poetry.
Yeah, I'll have
Yeah.
to try and figure out how to translate it into a typed copy. That'll take me about a month.
Yeah. But you know what, Cliff, you might earn some money from publishing this poem.
Yeah.
Speaking of money, as your class secretary and therefore the one who's accountable for the class fund, I just want you to know that like Richie Clark, we're going to treat you equally and not pay you a fucking thing. Okay.
Just to know some of you enjoy it as payment enough for me.
No, that was really well done. So we've come to the end of the scheduled program, as it were. On est à la fin de notre ordre du jour. Et maintenant, it's, on dirait, un free-for-all. Le micro sont ouverts. So whoever wants to comment on whatever, let's go for it. And John, take the spotlight off me.
As I have to leave shortly, but I wanted to make a comment and to thank John for all of us as well. I was recently talking to an old hockey playing buddy of mine who he'd gone to the University of Calgary, and he was asking me what we were going to be doing on New Year's Day, and I talked about this class levee idea, and he was just amazed that a class would have a bond like that after 50 years. He said it's something he could not conceive of, having gone to civilian university, and he was extremely jealous, I think, of the kind of bond that we have had as a class. And so I thought that was an interesting comment and wanted to pass it on. And thank you, John, for bringing us together today, and wish you all the best in 2021.